Good morning, beloved students. Myself, Dr. Jay Dave, Associate Professor, Department of Computer Engineering, Aditya Silva Rock Institute of Technology. In today's software engineering lecture, we are going to discuss mainly about design and modeling with UML. In this particular topic, we are going to go through a more couple of topics like use case diagram and usage scenario and what does it mean by story writing. So let us begin with the in-depth understanding of what does it mean by use case diagram. A use case diagram is basically a representation of users' interaction with the system. Having said that, if we take an example of any real world computer based system, say for example an e-commerce system, friends, we are already aware with several example of e-commerce system. Let us take an example of Flipkart, say for instance. So in Flipkart, there are multiple users. For example, a normal buyer, or we can consider him or her as a consumer as well. In addition to the consumer, there will be the admin staff who will be interacting with the system. So there are multiple users. Now, how all these multiple users are going to interact with the particular system, that would be considered as a use case diagram. In case of use case diagram, we are going to consider the users as an actor, and the actors are going to perform several unique and distinct functionality in line to the system. So we can say the purpose of use case diagram is simply to provide high level view of the system and convey the requirements in layman's term for the stakeholders. So friends, the stakeholders are nothing but all the users which are going to use the system, and how easily all the users can do several kind of functionality in the system that can be termed over here. Moving further, we are going to discuss the components of use case diagram. So one of the crucial component is the system itself, and the system is going to be surrounded by its concerned boundary. So we can say the system's functionality will be considered inside the scope of the system. So how we can actually represent the scope of the system? So for that we are going to use a rectangular box which has been depicted on the left hand side of your screen. So basically it represents the scope of the system. Then the second crucial component is use cases of the system, which are placed inside the system's boundary. So in layman's term, I can say that the use cases are nothing but the functionalities or the different types of functions each and every distinct user can able to perform within the scope of the system. And last but not the least, it is the actor who is so much crucial in context of the system, because ultimately all the functionalities are going to be performed by the actors itself. How we can depict the actor? So for that we are going to use a notation of a stickman, who is essentially an actor, is an entity that interacts directly with the system, but that is not part of the system. So my dear students, we have to always remember that whatever the functionalities we are going to mention as a part of the scope of the system, which is going to be inside of the rectangular box, and all the actors that we are going to depict, those has to be shown outside the boundary of the system. Now, how we can actually depict the use case? What is the notation? So this kind of parabola shape we can use, this kind of eclipse shapes we can use in order to depict the functionality. And lastly, the association, which is nothing but which actor is going to perform which particular functionality. So we have to connect the actor with the particular ellipse shapes of a use case. Now we are going to discuss couple of, not actually the couple of, but there are multiple functionalities of the use case. We can say these are the components of the use case diagram itself. In that, there is something called as generalization, then there is extend function, then there is include, and then there is constraint. So one by one we are going to go through these four concepts. So friends, generalization is nothing but the relationship is used to represent the inheritance relationship between the model elements of the same type, whereas include is nothing but a relationship which is uh, one use case includes the functionality of the other use case, and extend is the relationship which specifies that the incorporation of the extension use case is dependent on what happens when the base use case executes. And we are also going to have the constraint which is going to show the conditions which might exist between the actors and activity. Now friends, we are going to discuss all these particular components in depth in my subsequent session.